Hey everyone, it's Jaycee for Waffle Flower. Thank you so much for checking out this video. Today I wanted to share a few ideas I had with smaller stamps in stamp sets. I think having smaller images is great in building a scene, but what if you're not much of a scene builder or wanted something more clean and simple? Personally, this clean and simple idea is more my style, but I hope that the ideas I show you in this video will spark something creative in you. So here I have the Happy Fall combo from Waffle Flower, illustrated by the wonderful Cassie Loiseau. One of the first things I see with the stamp set are the scene opportunities you can build with this combo. For those of you who are new to card making or scrapbooking and do not necessarily have a lot of the materials your favorite card designers have, such as coloring mediums, I want to show you can still achieve fantastic designs on your handmade projects simply by using the smaller images on your stamp sets. So the first thing I'll show you all with the Happy Fall combo is building a tiny wreath. The great thing about these small stamps is that you don't need the full spectrum of colors in markers, pencils, watercolors, inks, whatever to achieve a dimensional look because the images are so small. In this example, I'll use just 2 markers per color family on alcohol marker friendly paper. So here I have a panel of Nina Solar White in 80 pound, and I'll begin stamping way more images I need in an alcohol marker friendly ink. I know I use a stamp positioning tool in most of my videos, but honestly with these small stamps you really don't need it because I'm not being exact with placement at this point. Then once I have all these images stamped, I'll move on to coloring. I'm not doing anything special with coloring here. These playful cartoon images on this set do not require such immensely detailed colors. So I'm going with the feel of this illustration and keeping it very minimal. And like I said, I'm only using 2 colors per family here to give just a slight bit of dimension. I'll fast forward here, and once I finish coloring, I'll move on to cutting out the images. Now, depending on your ability or what you have, the images are small enough to comfortably fussy cut. However, since Waffle Flower has the coordinating dies for this set, including the smaller images, I'll go ahead and use them in this project. Now that everyone is die cut and present, I'll begin forming my wreath. To help with the assembly of this wreath, I'll use 2 adjacent sizes of the Nesting Circles die set from Waffle Flower to die cut a ring of which I will assemble my die cut and colored leaves and pumpkins. I cut and stacked 3 rings to give the wreath some dimension. Then I simply built the wreath. I kept this wreath symmetrical, but you can build your wreath however you please. I kept the pumpkins separate for now until I could see how the sentiment looks with my wreath. I took the sentiment from the A Little Note combo from Waffle Flower. I thought the little note sentiment balanced out the little wreath on the front of this card. Before taking everyone down to my panel of Nina Desert Storm in 80 pound, I added white splatters behind the pumpkins just to break up the symmetry of this card. And that's the end of this first example using small stamps on your card. This next idea for using your small stamps is creating your own pattern paper. But here I will show you a different way to color your images if you own a collection of inks. I will use 2 of the small cup images and their coordinating dies to make this card. With the coordinating dies, I will cut a scrap piece of craft foam and keep the positive image to these. Now, I will be keeping track of which side is the front and back of this die cut piece. If this were an actual stamped image, I will apply tape runner to the inked side of this image. The back of this foam is what will go into an ink pad. Basically, what I am trying to do is make myself a solid image stamp using craft foam, and this will make more sense if you actually do it. Luckily, the Waffle Flower Happy Fall cups are mirrored, so I don't have to think too hard about accidentally flipping the images. So since I want to use a craft cardstock for my base, I'll need an opaque ink for the color to appear. You can use pigment ink, but today I will use Distress Oxide inks because I know they will stay true to their color on top of craft cardstock. Now, if you're using white cardstock, this does not apply and you can use your favorite dye inks. With my panel of craft cardstock, I'll mask off an area the width of my washi tape and begin stamping. To make it easy on myself, I'll use 1 color per image so I don't have to worry about contaminating the ink pads. This also makes it easy for the next step when I am finished applying a pattern of color. Now with the outline images that coordinate with the solid images, I'll apply black ink on top of the solid colors. Since I dedicated one color per image, all I have to do is quickly stamp all of the pink images and then all of the mint images. I'm not trying to be too perfect when applying the black ink. I love the carefree feel to this panel when it's done. With a white gel pen, I've added some dots between the stamped images to help fill in the space between the cups. I'll leave this panel to dry a bit more since I used a black pigment ink on top of this particular panel. For the sentiment, I decided on "You Warm My Heart" to mimic the little cups and hearts. I'm taking the "You" portion of the sentiment from the Waffle Flower Oversized thank you die. I'm doing a partial die cut using this die and cutting off the remnants that attach the Y to the H. I will stack 3 of these die cut words and match the rest of the sentiment with some embossed labels. Before finalizing this card, I added a dashed white line around the perimeter of the pattern images. Then I glued and placed my die cut and makeshift sentiments on foam squares. And that finishes the second example using small stamps. This can easily become a 1-layer card too if you would like. Or feel free to die cut this panel just like any pattern paper to give yourself even more creative possibilities. Okay, so for this last example, this one is a sort of combination of the card you just saw, but this time we will make our own sentiment with small stamps. This card is a little punny, so if you love math puns, make sure you like this video and subscribe. Before getting any stamps ready, I'll take a scrap piece of paper and use it to make a stamping mask. This is just a spare piece of typing paper cut to 4 1/4 by 5 1/2. I will make a pie mask by folding the mask lengthwise just so I have a perfectly symmetrical mask. It may help you to print a pie symbol and fussy cut the image if needed. So once I have my mask made, I will take a panel of craft cardstock and tape it to my work surface. Next, I will tape my mask on top of the craft panel and begin stamping. I will take the 2 pie-related images from Waffle Flower Happy Fall stamp set and randomly stamp these images, being deliberate in filling the entire empty space of the pie image. Once I feel I cannot stamp any more images into the space, I'll use a black marker to put dots in between the pies. This will help fill in the space even more. I'll then remove the mask when done and reveal the lovely pie image. I'll add an embossed label strip to this card to enforce the pumpkin pie image. You can continue to further embellish this card by coloring the pies or adding additional colors. Your project doesn't need to be so cheesy. In fact, you can use your thick letter dies to achieve the same look or stamp the small images to literally make your own letters like connect the dots. So those are my 3 projects using just a few of the products from Waffle Flower Crafts' October 2019 release. If you would like to see the other lovely stamps, dies, and combos from this release, or find additional inspiration from the talented team over at Waffle Flower, make sure you head over to their blog and store for more creative ideas. Thank you so much to Waffle Flower Crafts for letting me create and share my projects with you all. I'll talk to you all very soon, and have the best day.